We've all seen some pretty scary paintings in movies, but what about real-life paintings? Throughout history, art has always had a dark side. Some of these paintings are older, and some more modern. Here's our list of 10 creepy, unsettling, and downright scary paintings.
Number 10. Takeyasha the Witch and the Skeleton Spectre, painted by Utagawa Kuniyoshi between 1843 and 1847. This beautiful painting depicts a princess summoning a giant skeleton from a spell after gaining powers while seeking revenge against her father's murderer. In some ways, this woodblock print is more comical than scary, but there is something deeply unnerving about the skeleton's menacing stare down at the other characters. Perhaps it is also the skewed perspective and disproportionate facial features of every character in the piece that is unsettling. Either way, this piece is likely to haunt you for a while.
Number 9. The Severed Heads, painted by Theodore Géricault in 1818. Most painters, especially 19th century painters, would practice similarly styled paintings before trying to tackle their large commission or project. Theodore Géricault is no different, though in this particular case, the result was horrifying. In the following weeks leading up to a grotesque painting of a shipwreck, he decided to study decomposing remains, this time severed heads. What he produced is technically very talented and masterful, which makes us feel very uneasy. His rendering of severed heads looks almost too real, especially the vacant, cold, dead stare of the man with his eyes left open.
Number 8. Head of Medusa, painted by Peter Paul Rubens in 1618. Following the trend of severed heads, this painting by Peter Paul Rubens is just as disturbing as the painting by Géricault. This time, however, the creep factor is amped up another notch due to the added bonus of snakes, spiders, and scorpions. This is Medusa we're talking about after all. This is again a very technically well done painting and is beautiful in that aspect, but the emotion of the Medusa's lifeless eyes and the anger of the snakes can almost be felt.
Number 7. Untitled Beksinski, painted by Czesław Beksinski, who was an active painter from 1955 to 2005. Most of us are not able to remember our dreams very well, though nightmares are usually a different story. That's what is so striking about this painting. It would appear to have crawled out of the deepest, darkest depths of your worst nightmare. The sickeningly long, frail arms extending down into razor-sharp fingers seem as though they could snatch you up at any second. The lower limbs of this creature are equally frightening, as the feet appear to look just like hands. Featureless faces are always terrifying to us because it leaves us with nothing to read or to interpret, not to mention the blood. If you like this painting, the artist, Beksinski, is known for many of his other disturbing and dark paintings, all of which appear to be untitled.
Number 6. The Egg, illustrated by Alfred Kubin between 1901 and 1902. This illustration is unnerving in many ways. First of all, it has an almost childlike, sketchy quality to it that is usually either indicative of adolescence or insanity. It features a grave, a humanoid that is partially skeletal and impregnated with a glowing, large, egg-like shape. There is a menacing, surreal, guard-shaped shadow in the background with no visible source and is an element that seems quite out of place. The facial features of the pregnant, glowing humanoid are extremely menacing and hateful. The artist, Alfred Kubin, had previously in his life attempted suicide on his mother's grave and had a mental breakdown after joining the Austrian army, and afterwards lived until his death in seclusion.
Number 5. Der rote Blick, The Red Gaze, painted by Arnold Schoenberg in 1910. This self-portrait is not something you'd expect to see in someone's depiction of themselves. Gaunt, haunting, and deformed, with a large focus on glowing red eyes, makes you wonder what the artist thought of themselves. The artist is known for painting other self-portraits, though most aren't quite as creepy. They all do seem to possess the same sort of dingy, dark quality to them.
Number 4. The Temptation of Saint Anthony, painted by Salvatore Rosa in 1645. This painting has an obvious Christian influence, depicting a saint in a dramatic attempt of resisting the temptations of evil. The demonic figure in the center has inhumanly disproportionate limbs, skinny and pointed. The demonic figure's heads are skeletal, animalistic, or both, adding to the unnerving nature of the painting. The movement within the scene creates a chaotic sense of urgency. Being a religious painting, it could be interpreted infinitely. So tell us, what do you think it means? Let us know in the comments below.
Number 3. Study after Velázquez's portrait of Innocent X, painted by Francis Bacon in 1953. This painting was one among Francis Bacon's 50 portraits in a series of interpretations of Diego Velázquez's original 1650 portrait of Pope Innocent X. These were completed from the late 1940s through the 1960s and range from very normal looking to extremely creepy as seen here. The odd facial expressions eventually became a norm, and since then, the paintings are often referred to as screaming popes. The seated pope can be seen screaming as if in agony. The ghostly color of the figure and distorted lines beg the question as to what Bacon was going for here. Partially zombie-like and partially abstract, there has to be something more than meets the eye in this painting. What do you think?
Number 2. Vanitas Number 1, painted by Beau White, who has been an active painter since 2004. According to Wikipedia, a vanitas is a symbolic work of art showing the transience of life, the futility of pleasure, and the certainty of death, often contrasting symbols of wealth and symbols of ephemerality and death. This is no different for artist Beau White, evident in his creation. His skill in painting is extraordinary, capturing life in all of the fruits, vegetables, and flowers in his painting, though there is one thing that sticks out: an almost mummified, disembodied head with pennies over its eyes and a knife between its teeth, buried in all of that beautiful produce. This painting is really a stunning piece that almost makes you double take.
Number 1. Deterioration of Mind Over Matter, painted by Otto Rapp in 2008. This painting is number 1 on our list for several reasons. There's so much to take in that at times it's very overwhelming to look at. The rotting, decomposed skull is held together by safety pins and metal bars, rings, and stringy blobs of flesh. The eyes are particularly frightening, one eye still seemingly partially focused on something after death and the other milky and zombie-like. The melting eyelids dripping down onto the cage is not overshadowed by the spiderweb flesh on the right side of the head. The whole head itself sits atop a metal cage, with a tongue seeming to have grown out of the rocky platform beneath. The stairs are eerily disproportionate to the rest of the scene, where below there are several alien, elongated humanoids peering up at this monstrosity. This painting has so much detail and there's so many different horrifying elements that make this image very hard to forget about.
We hope you enjoyed our list of 10 frightening paintings. Leave a like and let us know what you thought in the comments below. Which painting was your favorite? What paintings did you want to see on our list? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button to receive notifications about new videos. See you next time.